Well, welcome to the 13 News Now Sports Overtime podcast. And he came correct today, as did I. Mr. Brian Smith, suited and booted, ties on, ready to go, anchor style. Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing well, sir. Doing well. I'm glad we're back together. The Three Musketeers are back.
Yes, we apologize for missing last week. We had some scheduling mishaps. And part of the reason that it's tough to schedule things is because not only is Shane Fordham a news reporter, not only is Shane Fordham a sports anchor, not only is Shane Fordham a former pass rushing specialist for the Hampton Pirates, but Shane Fordham gives seminars now. Welcome, Shane Fordham.
Yeah, apparently.
Okay, more details to come. After Shane has a big event coming up. Afterwards, maybe we'll do a brief recap on the pod. For now, though, it's just a teaser.
First of all, when were you guys going to tell me that we were going ties today? Where did I miss the memo?
I missed that. I got to get ready. So,
I got to get obvious my day is off. My off day is today.
Well, it's your off day. At home. Look, you can dress any way you want to. You modern day, baby. You don't have to have
Yeah, dress however you want, or dress for the job you want.
Okay. All right. So I can't tell if you guys are going to judge me for the rest of this pod, or if you're saying this is a judgment free zone. It's very passive aggressive right now on the pod.
No.
I want to tell the audience that the reason this is so ironic is because Shane is by far the best dressed out of the three of us.
Absolutely.
On a day-to-day basis. He might be the best dressed sports anchor in all of Hampton Roads, and yet today
not today.
We're running the fashion show today. We have to get warned, Shane. As soon as you started working here, people started complaining about my outfits. So that's why we got to get a little bit of get back every once in a while. And
I appreciate it.
Speaking of get back, the Washington Commanders played against the Atlanta Falcons this past weekend. Jaden Daniels missed his second week in a row, which means Marcus Mariota had a chance to get some vengeance against his former team, the team that benched him a few years back, the Atlanta Falcons. It didn't quite go that way for the Commanders. Another loss, but they go 1-1. They get a split without Jaden Daniels, which I don't think is too bad. I would like Brian Smith first, your synopsis, your feelings on the Commanders' loss, not only without Jaden Daniels, but without Terry McLaurin to the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, I think Marcus Mariota filled in admirably, in my humble opinion, for the two games he's been there. The problem was Washington's defense. It didn't deliver like it was supposed to against the Falcons, and they were playing catch-up the rest of the time. So it's one of those situations where injuries are starting to play a role now. This team didn't have to deal with that last year because nobody had any expectations. Now that there are expectations, the injuries are starting to pile up. I mean, think about Austin Eckler, Dietrich Wise Jr., done for the season, among others. Will Harris having his issues. They're kind of piecemealing things together. And I think, too, once again, on the defensive side of the ball, they've got to make some better adjustments. It just, right now, it doesn't look good as they're next facing the Chargers on the road again.
And Marcus Mariota did play well. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give you the stat line quickly here. 16 of 27, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Took 2 sacks, ran twice for 20 yards. So he had a solid game. Just 1 turnover, a couple touchdowns. But I think the thing with the Washington Commanders is they went into the season thinking the quarterback position would be the thing that elevates their team. Not just a solid aspect of their team, but the best aspect of their team. And without Jaden Daniels, you just don't have that. But how many teams in the NFL are going to win games without their quarterback and their best offensive playmaker? Not very many. Shane Fordham, your thoughts on the game, because I do agree with Brian, this defense could be a problem if you plan on contending for a championship.
Yeah, I think, with the injuries, I think it's expected that the defense had some issues against the Falcons. A young Falcons offense with, 2 really rooftop sky's the limit level potential in Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts, who we saw is they're trying to get him the ball more, trying to scheme him open more within that offense. But looking at the Commanders, I think we definitely saw how honestly good of a team this Commanders team can be. The fact that they didn't have Jaden Daniels, no Terry McLaurin, having the injuries that they do with Dietrich Wise and Will Harris being out for the rest of the season, still playing in a winnable game against a talented Falcons team. Like, if you're looking at those first 3 quarters, the Commanders were in the game for the first through 3 quarters of that game. The fourth quarter, I mean, towards the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter is when the Falcons started to sort of expand their lead. But I mean, the Commanders made a final push towards the end of the game. I think with Jaden Daniels, I think there's no question this is a win for the Commanders. I think we all counted this as a win for the Commanders going into the season, assuming everyone was healthy. I believe that's what I said. I believe that's what you guys said as well in terms of our little schedule prediction. But I think when all they really need is for Jaden Daniels to come back and for Terry McLaurin to come back to really start getting more W's in that win column. Because I mean, this game easily could have gone in the Commanders' favor. And Marcus Mariota, he had a turnover for sure, but I think for the most part, he did a good job of taking care of the football. He provided that spark to the offense. I mean, Marcus Mariota showed why he is arguably the best backup quarterback to have in the NFL. So I think, they're really just one player away from us seeing more success, in the Commanders' direction.
Can I say this? Do we get the sense too that defense can't quite be depended on if something goes wrong on the offensive side of the ball? They can only do but so much, but they need that offense. They can't play a tight game, otherwise it could slip away from them. Or am I looking at it wrong because of injuries and stuff?
Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a big question mark. Losing Will Harris, 3 games into the season, that hurts, especially with the way he played in the first 2 weeks. Losing, one of your better pass rushers in Dietrich Wise, which, something they were already trying to reinforce going into the season, that hurts, but I think, and honestly, it really just comes back down to me looking at that secondary, most notably Marshawn Lattimore. I think that is the biggest hole that this defense has. And, you all ever been to like a family gathering, with like where the tables were all set up and they had those little plastic table coverings on the table. And then if you were bored, you're just kind of poke a hole into the little plastic covering under the table. Am I the only one that has done that when they were bored at a event?
I've had my hand popped as a child, so I'm just saying you might get away with it. I know I could. I was told to stay away from that table.
Well, Shane, did you get in trouble for that, for poking holes in the plate?
No, because people were throwing them away anyway.
Right.
It wasn't like the nice tablecloths. It was the ones you get from like Party City for like $1. Okay. And then just the one use, one time only, and then you throw them away right after the party. But my point is, once you poke a hole into that tablecloth, it's easier to tear the whole thing up with that one hole. I think Marshawn Lattimore
has lost its structural integrity.
Yeah, it's lost its structural integrity. I think Marshawn Lattimore is that hole in this tablecloth that is the Commanders' defense. So when you have a hole as wide as that, if you saw that game, Drake London was really just cooking Marshawn Lattimore from start to finish. Like they got started early. They were picking on Kyle Pitts was picking on Marshawn Lattimore very early in this game, and the automatic mismatch that presented, Drake London versus Marshawn Lattimore, it made it easier for the Falcons offense to take advantage of the Commanders defense in other areas. Like they were able to find Bijan Robinson on a wheel route out of the backfield where he was able to outrun Bobby Wagner. I think we saw a little bit of the age in that matchup, but just, plays like that, they were able to find and continuously make big plays against this Commanders defense. But it started with that really mismatched problem with Marshawn Lattimore, which they're really going to see, especially going to see next week against the Chargers. And, they're going to see it against the Eagles. They're going to see it again against the Giants. It's a real problem that, Joe Witt really needs to address in this defense.
Connor, he brought up age again. He brought up age again, Connor.
He does. I've officially chosen to ignore it. Brian, I've chosen to ignore it because there's no other way than that.
Did you see the play?
Man. It's okay with me.
Maybe he got outran because he took a bad angle. Not
it was. Now I will say he got caught up.
Age.
He got caught up in the wash a little bit, got caught up in the traffic, but Bijan Robinson is just clear. Like he was able to just, what's the word for it? Just
Run
really just I mean
faster.
just outrun him honestly right
Younger
away. The
legs.
athleticism
Running
defense
fast
was
is
there a
the
little bit
word.
too.
Younger legs is what you're saying?
Yeah. No, Brian, don't.
That's not what
Now, Brian is trying to fire, okay? This is what's happening now.
Younger legs.
No, we're not. Hey, Shane, don't let Brian come between us. Now, when it comes to the Commanders' defense, I do want to note, you said, is it fair to say they're not reliable? I think that's fair to say, but it seems to me you never planned to have a subpar unit, but the team was built to be driven by its offense. Last year, the defense was 18th in points against. The offense was the engine of the team. And then you go into the offseason and you use capital to add Laramie Tunsil. You use resources to add Debo Samuel. It seems like they focused on their big upgrades on offense, an offense that already outpaced the defense in terms of ability. So the team is built so that the defense is just good enough to supplement what I think they anticipate being a great offense, which is why even though Marcus Mariota played solid, you need Jaden Daniels in there so that this offense isn't just solid, it's great, because that's how the team is built. And so I agree with you completely, but they certainly do not expect Marshawn Lattimore to be a struggling corner. But I think it's reasonable to say, hey, this team wasn't built to rely on its defense. It's not supposed to be the reliable faction of this organization. It's supposed to be just enough to support a super explosive offense. So even though I agree with you, I think some of that is by design, at least to a certain degree. So you would hope that it could step up when it needs to, which it didn't in this particular situation.
But I also think it's not the defense as a collective that is the problem. I really just think it's one guy that is the main issue, and I hate how that sounds.
I'll say
but
this
it's true.
to that, but Shane, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I want to jump in and then I'll let you finish your thought. Is yes, Marshawn Lattimore should be playing better, but if you have a strong pass rush, it makes it a lot easier on your corners. And going into this offseason, we thought they needed to go make some big moves when it comes to the pass rush. They neglected to do that. They picked up Von Miller, but to me, that is not a solution. You hope that he can have big moments, but that is not a solution. Their pass rush was a weakness going into the season, and I think that is going to expose your corners a little bit. So even though Lattimore is not playing well, you can't just say this entire issue is because of him.
Well, what I will say is the pass rush does hurt that the pass rush is not as efficient as we would like them to see, but at least their runs that like if we're looking at this Commanders defense as a whole, the Commanders, they're not as strong in the pass rush, but they are a very good run stop defense this year. They're top 3 against the run this year. Their pass rush, while it's not great, it's also not one of the worst pass rushes that are in the league right now. I mean, they rank 13th to get in pass rush in pass rush success. We saw them get home at least once on Sunday against Kyle Pitts. I think if you were able to plug that hole that is kind of open where Marshawn Lattimore stands on the field, you might say that might actually help the pass rush get home a little more than what they have been. Because we've seen them, I believe, get a sack we've seen them get home, I believe, at least once or twice in all 4 of their games so far. But as we said before, Marshawn Lattimore is getting picked on early in these games. He's giving up huge plays against the pass in these games, again, whether it's to elite receivers like Malik Neighbors, or good receivers like Drake London, or, sort of average to slightly above average receivers like Dontavian Wicks. It's just, I think like Connor, like what you said, the pass rush does need to be better, but I think what the theory you're applying, I think can go both ways. I think a better secondary can also help the pass rush because it forces the quarterback to hold on to the ball a little longer. Like even if he holds on to the ball a second longer, right, that does numbers for a defensive
It's a partnership. Front. It's unquestionably a partnership. They are, they work off of each other. But I want to hesitate a little bit before we just say it's all because of Marshawn Lattimore. When I just don't. I think maybe he's not playing well, but I do think maybe we need to at least allow for the other parts of the defense to get some blame
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you guys a question. Do you
Sure.
guys think what is worse on this defensive unit? Would you guys say the pass rush is worse, or
I
would you
think-
say the coverage is worse?
I
I
think
think a little bit of everything.
The coverage has been worse.
I think overall, I mean, look at what Bijan Robinson did for the run where he did the spin move. He was sliding through that defensive line like they didn't exist, and then does a spin move, and then has the strength to just kind of fall into the end zone for a touchdown. Goes for 75 yards. Well, I mean, which is good. You held a runner of his talent under 100 yards, but he made it look easy.
He makes it. That's the great thing about Bijan Robinson, is he always makes it look easy.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
His part. It's a lot of fun when your team plays the Falcons. You get to see all of these amazing playmakers they have over in Atlanta. To Shane's point, though, 75 yards rushing, 106 yards receiving. Bijan had a bigger day through the air than he did on the ground, which speaks to what Shane is saying about how the focus needs to be on the coverage right now.
Yeah. And if you
lack of adjustments,
right?
And B Smith, if you look at that play that you just referenced, Bijan's, I believe, well, really his only touchdown on the day, where he kind of hit that sort of spin move to kind of break the tackle, diving across the goal line.
He just kind of shifted to the right, shifted back to the left, and then just took off. Like there was nobody around to really corral him, and he is a handful to try and bring down.
He moves.
But see, if that was any other running back, like maybe 90% of the other running backs in the NFL, like that's no doubt not a touchdown. That's not the Commanders were rallying to Bijan. They were getting hands on him pretty early on in that run before he was really getting upfield. It's just Bijan is Bijan, and he's only getting better every season. He is really becoming one of the elite running backs in this NFL. Like I'm talking talent wise is on the caliber of Saquon, Christian McCaffrey, I would say Josh Jacobs is kind of knocking on that door, borderline at the least. So I think if it's 90% of other running backs in the NFL, almost any other running back in the NFL,
they get
that top 3 run stop defense that the Commanders have right now so far at this point in the season is stopping him short of the goal line.
Yeah.
And the Commanders certainly could use a Bijan Robinson on their squad right now, trying to patch this running back room together. 7 carries for Rodriguez, 7 for Krosky Merritt, 2 for Jeremy McNichols. They don't have a bell cow back. They're really trying to spread this around. They've still been relatively effective on the ground at times. We talked about Deebo Samuel potentially taking some carries. 3 carries, just 9 yards for Deebo in that game last week. It'll be interesting to see how they monitor that running back position, where they decide to go with that after trading Brian Robinson, losing Austin Eckler. But we talk about all this loss. The good news is they get Jaden Daniels back this week.
Do we know that? Is that confirmed?
They're hoping to. He says, as of yesterday, he said, I'm planning to play. So he's got to go through essentially the latter part of this week. Friday is usually the big day when it comes to
he did a full practice today.
But he has, yes.
So all indications are that Jaden Daniels will be back. But I suppose you're right, Shane. It has not been officially confirmed, but everything we know points to his return. So he's back. They're playing against the Chargers, which is a great time for us to remind everybody that in our preseason quarterback ranking, Shane Fordham had Bo Nix. Continue to hammer that here on the Sports Overtime podcast. Bo Nix has come crashing back to earth. And
I do have a take for you guys later in the pod, though. I do.
You want to now? You want to go now?
Oh,
don't tease us.
I will say, but it's kind of a segue to, I guess, another game that we might be talking about later on. But I'll say it now. I think looking at that sort of Herbert Bo Nix sort of comparison, no doubt Justin Herbert is, as a quarterback, better than Bo Nix, more talented for sure. But I will say, I do think Bo Nix will get to a Super Bowl before Justin Herbert does.
He's finding
I think Bo Nix
clinging to whatever.
Listen to me. If we're talking this year especially, I do think the Broncos have a better shot of getting to the Super Bowl. Bo Nix has a better shot of getting to the Super Bowl than Justin Herbert and the Chargers. I will say that.
Stretch my hamstrings now in case I pull something, because for me, it felt like a slight stretch.
Listen,
I felt the twinge.
I can dive into it if you guys want, or we can get into it later.
This is what the kids call cope. This is what the kids like to call coping. You know what I mean? When they just don't know how to handle the adversity with which they've been faced and the incorrect assertions that they've made, they then just scramble around. Well, I think I don't know. I mean, Bo Nix probably has a better chance of maybe winning a game while it's snowing than Justin Herbert does. It just
okay.
Snow in Vegas.
So now I have to dive into this because now I have to dive into this. You guys are antagonizing me. So I have to dive into it.
Do you think Sean Payton would trade Bo Nix for Justin Herbert straight up right now?
Probably would. I think anyone would.
Okay, cool. All right. So
I think anyone would, but that doesn't prove anything.
That
doesn't prove anything.
I bet you
how many touchdowns does Justin Herbert have in the playoffs, Connor?
Are you gonna make me do research on this pod?
Well, I can answer it for you quick.
Oh, go ahead.
No, my answer is it's less than he has turnovers in the playoffs. He has less touchdowns than he does turnovers in the playoffs. He has no wins in the playoffs out of, I believe, 2-3 trips out of 4-5 seasons total in the NFL. He has his turnover to touchdown ratio is abysmal in the playoffs. And if I'm looking at the Broncos, there's no doubt the Broncos have a top 3 defense in the NFL. An elite defense in the NFL.
And yet they're 2-2. And yet they're 2-2, and they've struggled mightily. Do you think that's because of trouble at the quarterback position? You're arguing.
Listen. Bo Nix does need to do a better job of taking care of the ball, but he has improved.
The question is who's a better quarterback. The question is not who has more playoff turnovers. The question is who's a better quarterback. And there's not a soul on this earth that can argue that Bo Nix is a better quarterback.
But that doesn't mean. But that doesn't mean that Bo Nix.
That we were asking.
But that doesn't mean. And I answered you. But like I said, that still doesn't mean Bo Nix won't get to a Super Bowl before Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is an elite quarterback in the regular season, but Justin Herbert looks like how you guys have said Bo Nix looks in the playoffs. Justin Herbert doesn't look any better than Bo Nix in the playoffs at all.
So you're telling me they're equally bad in the playoffs. Justin Herbert is 1,000 times better in the regular season, and so therefore Bo Nix can get to the Super Bowl?
I think, honestly, it's only been one game that we've seen from Bo Nix in the playoffs, but in that one game, he took way better control. He took way better care of the ball than Justin Herbert has in any of his playoff games.
He also had 144 yards passing, and his team lost 31-7. So Mr. Jalen Hurts wins are all that matter. Why don't you not come to us?
I didn't.
Justin Herbert.
It's one game, and it was his rookie year. This year, he's going into year 2. He has the same defense. He has a talented offense, and he has an elite coach in Sean Payton. I don't think it's crazy.
So he's got everything set up for him, and yet he still can't win a playoff game or even quarterback competently to start this season. Now, the question we must answer before we waste too much time is how will this Washington defense that has struggled so mightily fare against Justin Herbert and the Chargers offense? Brian, you go first.
I would say I'm sure they're looking at plenty of video of what the Giants did to him. That's for starters. Whatever they did, copy and paste. Don't waste time. I think with any great quarterback, because Justin Herbert does have the ability to scramble, they need to put heat on him quick. He has to feel uncomfortable in the pocket to the point of, oh gosh, his head's on a swivel. That quarterbacks like that, because he's not the kind of person that's going to sit in the pocket for a long period of time. If he runs, that's fine. But yeah, that's what's going to come down to. And more importantly, time of possession. Any great quarterback, I don't care if it's Patrick Mahomes. If he's standing on the sidelines, he can't do anything to you. So I think the run game, as lackluster as it has been the last game or two with the Commanders, they got to develop that run game, because in order to do that, hopefully Jaden Daniels is back and they can take care of business.
And so that's the problem, right? That's the problem we've been talking about. Is we are going to face an elite quarterback in most people's books, and we say, all right, well, you just do what the Giants did and get pressure on them. But then you look at the Giants roster, and they have invested immense capital in their defensive line.
Two different units.
Their capital. And so you say, oh, the Commanders just need to do that. but they have not invested resources in their defense.
They haven't.
To be able to go out and do that. Shane, go ahead. Do you want to take that one, or do you want me to hit you with another preview question? I feel like Brian covered it well.
I mean, I can take that one. Just like kind of adding on to what you said, B. Smith. Two different D lines. The Commanders don't have a Brian Burns.
Nope.
They don't have an Abdul Carter. They don't have a Kayvon Tibbs. They don't have a Dexter Lawrence, who I would have loved to see get in that end zone on that pick six. Would have loved it. But it's not that same unit. But B. Smith, like you said, I think blitzing Justin Herbert wouldn't be a bad way to go. Kind of trying to take advantage of, Joe Alt being out for the rest of the season, trying to take advantage of Justin Herbert having a little less protection. But if you're going to do that, that means you also have to play a lot of man coverage. As we've seen, that could be an issue when Marshawn Lattimore is one-on-one against Keenan Allen, or one-on-one against Ladd McConkey, or this year even one-on-one against Quentin Johnston, or if KLS gets in the game.
Great. How about Quentin Johnston?
He's been playing great. Yeah.
Hard this offseason.
Yeah. Or if we see our boy Keandre Lambert-Smith get in the game, because we've seen him get some burn at least last week. So
Did he have any targets?
Not sure if he had any targets. I
he
saw
was
him running around out there.
He got some touches in the preseason.
But he was great in the preseason.
He was great in the preseason. If he's in the rotation now, with the sort of, it seems like Justin Herbert did develop that KLS has developed a somewhat of a chemistry with his quarterbacks. With him being in the rotation is already dangerous enough, at least being at that number 4 spot. So, seeing a lot of man coverage from this Commanders defense could be an issue against a Chargers offense that, unlike last year, has no problem throwing the ball at high volumes.
And we'll come back with the offense. Now, Jaden Daniels will be back, but it's not not nearly as close to a sure thing as if Terry McLaurin will be back. Can this offense go out and produce against a very, very solid Harbaugh defense with no Terry McLaurin?
Ooh. It's hard to say, and we don't know how much longer he will be out, because it sounded like the initial injury almost turned into like a slight hip flexor issue, which is not a good thing for a wide receiver. You got to be able to pivot the way Terry does in play, but nobody knows. And you hope everybody else has the ability to step up.
And I actually have, I hate to do this mid-pod, because we try to make sure that when it comes to reporting information, that we are bringing you guys all of the most up-to-date information that we can find. And so I've got, I have a couple of sources here that are saying that Terry McLaurin will be out for this game, that he's just been ruled out. One of our fellow Tegna stations actually is saying Terry McLaurin will miss a second straight game for the Commanders.
Yeah.
So as of right now, that is what I'm seeing here. And again, I hate to go and do this in the middle of the pod, because as reporters, we want to make sure that any information that we bring you is confirmed.
The initial injury itself was a little bit worse than people thought.
And I've actually got 5 minutes ago from the Associated Press, Terry McLaurin will miss a second straight game for the Commanders with that injury. He has been ruled out. So that is the current situation. So it will be no Terry McLaurin. You do have Jaden Daniels. What do you foresee from this Commanders offense this week, Shane?
It's tough. I think going up against any defense where Khalil Mack is out does help your odds. I think that kind of tips the scales a little bit. The fact that there's no Khalil Mack, it looks like I just want to confirm this really quickly before I say something wrong. Okay, yeah. So it looks like Derwin James is questionable as well. So on the off chance that Derwin James may be out for this game too, that helps. But up to this point, with Derwin James included, obviously Khalil Mack missed, I believe, last week and the week before because of that nasty elbow injury. Leading up to this point, this has been a nasty looking Chargers defense. They've been aggressive against the pass. They've been physical against the run. It's definitely going to be one of their tougher tests this season. But there's no reason to believe that this is still not a winnable game for this, at least the Commanders offense.
Sure.
I think too. They are traveling across the country for this game. I just want to throw that out there.
That's definitely an obstacle. But at least looking at what this offense has seen in the past, I think we are seeing steady progression from Josh Connerly and this offensive line. Talk about a guy that has seen tests early in the season, having to see Micah, having to see Brian Burns, having to see Kayvon Thibodeau. There's like having to see Rashawn Gary. Like this is an offense that has been at least tested, has been through the fire a bit leading up to this matchup. I think that in terms of defensive lines, they've seen better so far at this point in the season. So I do expect Jaden Daniels to be somewhat comfortable in the pocket. I think we will see a better protection for Jaden Daniels, at this point in the season against the Chargers, which will make it easier for him to find holes in this defense and utilize guys like Debo, maybe get Luke McCaffrey his third touchdown of his career, at this point in the season, using Zach Ertz, so I do think this is definitely.
Don't forget the rookie from Virginia Tech, Jalen Lane, because I think
he had a couple catches last week.
Yeah, he may not be just a guy that he's going to return punts. No, I think he has a chance over the next game or two to really kind of solidify a position within that offense that, in case it takes longer for Terry McLaurin to get back, you have some balance. Yeah, it keeps defenses honest. I think so. That's just me.
Absolutely.
The Los Angeles Chargers have not allowed more than 21 points yet in a game this season. They are favored by just 2.5 at home over the Washington Commanders with Jaden Daniels back in the lineup. Okay, let's move on to a new segment that we have here on the Sports Overtime podcast. We try to come up with reasonable but also spicy takes as we move throughout the sports calendar. We want to make sure we have strong opinions. We want to make sure those opinions are backed up by logic, reason, research, and our own eyeballs. We are constantly trying to, well, Brad and I do, at least, but in general, so we try to come up with takes. But as we go through, we have takes that creep into our head that are not all the way logical. They're not all the way confirmed. They're rattling around out there. And again, Brian and I choose not to say them until they're fully formed. But sometimes you just want to get that stuff out. And so we've got a new segment here called Take It or Leave It. I'm going to throw some takes at you guys that I'm not sure about. And I am not asserting that they are my opinion. But I want to throw them out there, and I want to let you guys decide if it's a proper take or not. Are you guys in?
Sure. Why not?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
We'll hit on a couple of other big topics around the NFL. Number one, the AFC South, considered by many to be the worst division in football, or at least the worst division in the AFC, will have 2 playoff teams this year, and neither one of them will be the Houston Texans. The Indianapolis Colts look like one of the best teams in the league, and the Jacksonville Jaguars have been highly competent in the Travis Hunter era, though he has not been a huge part of it. Is that a reasonable take?
Oh, I'd say depending on the schedule for right now, I'm going to have to leave it. I'm not going to take it.
Okay. So
Too early to tell.
Do you feel as though one of those teams is fool's gold?
Yeah. I don't know which one, but yeah.
Well, you got to pick one if you're going to call one of them out like that.
I'll say
the Colts. The Colts seem for real.
I'll say
they
Colts.
have been shockingly good. Their one loss was to an excellent Rams team in which they were very competitive.
I'm not convinced yet.
All right, Shane, your thoughts?
I'll take it, but with a grain of salt. I'll take it more so looking at this Jags defense. Trayvon Walker looked like a grown man last week. So in this just Jags defense as a whole, I think is, and I'll take it. the Jags defense right now is playing like a playoff caliber defense. You know, I think it is early at this point in the season. You know, we do need to see a little more out of Trevor Lawrence. You know, Brian Thomas is just waiting to get the ball. You know, he's waiting for some love and attention in this offense.
He's been a little shaky though. I mean, he's definitely had some balls come his way where he didn't necessarily look like the Brian Thomas that we've come to know and expect. Right? I mean, I hear what you're saying is that he's waiting to break out. It's not all on him. But you thought that he was the type of receiver going into this second year where he would make it happen, regardless of whether it was there for him or not. He was going to go and turn games on his own, and that hasn't been the case. He hasn't been the dominant player that we kind of expected coming into this season. I do want to point out another factor here is that the AFC gets very skimpy very quickly. The Bills are the 1 seed, the Chargers are the 2 seed, the Steelers are the 3 seed. Then the Colts and Jags are the 4 and 5. They're both 3 and 1. Then you have the Bengals, who I think we all expect to fall out, or at least basically they're on pause till Burrow gets back. Then you got the Chiefs in the 7 seed. I expect them to rise. And then it gets really skimpy. I mean, you have a struggling Broncos team. You got the Ravens down there, who we all expect to right the ship at some point. Other than that, it's Pats, Raiders, Dolphins, Texans. I mean, there's not a ton of competition at this particular moment for those playoff spots, which I think could potentially get some credibility.
Yeah, and I was actually going to get there because, I mean, I honestly think the AFC is wide open, which is why I said I wouldn't be surprised if the Jags slip in there. Wouldn't be surprised if the Colts slip in there too. I mean, I'm not ready to say they're for real yet just because, you know, Daniel Jones is has had a great first 4 weeks of football. I don't know if I'm ready to let that totally change my perception of him from what we have seen leading up to this point, especially in the playoffs.
He is balling out. Not only are they winning, but he's one of the biggest he is playing incredible football. I, for one, am shocked. I thought they should start Anthony Richardson and just figure it out and decide once and for all. What I didn't realize is that they had a playoff team that was being held back by that quarterback, which we kind of now know is a very real possibility. All right, so we get a yes from Shane and a no from Brian. Take it or leave it. Number 2, Puka Nacua is currently the best offensive weapon in the NFL. While you think, I will read you stats. 42 catches for 503 yards in just 4 games. He only has 1 receiving touchdown, but he also has 52 yards rushing, including a 45-yard rushing touchdown. His worst game was 8 catches for 91 yards. Last week, he went 13 catches for 170 yards and a touchdown last week. And when they played the Philadelphia Eagles, there was no one more frightening on that field. Shane, you first. Puka Nacua, best weapon in the NFL right now.
I would say right now, yeah. I mean, it's just he creates such a mismatch problem for almost any secondary in the NFL, especially at this point in the season. Like you said, he doesn't have, I think the lowest amount of receiving yards he has in a game is 91. Hasn't had a touchdown in every single game, but he has been absolutely torching defenses in several other ways without, being able to cross the goal line. He has only 1. This is crazy. The fact that he only has 1 touchdown on the season, but he is still being so productive.
He's got a rushing touchdown as well. He's got 2 touchdowns and the one on the ground. But
a rushing touchdown.
And before you go, Brian, I want to also add in that when it comes to this discussion, it's maybe not just about the weapon itself, but the capacity to get him the ball. Jamar Chase has lost his quarterback. Justin Jefferson is in the middle of a quarterback mess. Saquon Barkley has struggled this year. A.J. Brown, they just have not been able to get the passing game going. Tyreek Hill is now out. You could look at Jonathan Taylor and say that might be the guy. You could look at Jackson Smith and Jigba and say that might be the guy. I know that sounds like a stretch, but you got to check the numbers. It's been incredible. But Puka, the other thing is the Rams are depending on him mightily. Whenever they need a big play, it's going to Puka. Everyone knows it. He still finds a way to make the catch. Brian, is this a fair take?
I'll say it's a fair take for now. Yeah, I'll say take
All
it.
Right. Okay.
Numbers don't lie.
Derrick Henry has struggled. I mean, a lot of the guys.
Derrick Henry's struggling. Christian McCaffrey isn't really. Christian McCaffrey's been having a tough time.
McCaffrey's been good.
It's just hard when Purdy misses games because as we know, Christian McCaffrey is a dual threat. Like he finds success almost as much in the passing game as he does in the run game. So it's kind of hard when that sort of element is now sort of off the table right now, where he doesn't have his QB1 who was accurate enough to get him the ball in those tight windows. So, I mean, yeah, it's a tough year for offensive guys, honestly. Yeah, I mean, with the injuries, several guys just struggling in their own respective scheme for whatever reason. So yeah, I think Puka Nacua. I mean, bro, Puka Nacua is honestly, you said rushing touchdown. He honestly has the strength of a running back.
He's incredible.
Like a lot of guys in the league will tell you, like Puka Nacua might be one of the strongest dudes overall in the NFL. Like maybe not necessarily in the weight room, but just on field strength, just the ability to just kind of like throw his body around and out muscle guys. It's crazy.
All right, I'm 2 for 2 with
version of Debo.
There you go. And I'm glad that you guys understood this. That question obviously was excluding quarterbacks. I want to make sure that is known. That was just in terms of receivers, running backs, tight ends. Okay. Let's move on. 2 for 2 with Shane. Me and Shane are on the same page right now. All right. The next one. The Chiefs will be back in the Super Bowl. They have righted the ship, and they are headed back to their rightful place in the final game of the season. And again, this comes back to that AFC. First of all, the Chiefs look fantastic in dismantling the Ravens. They're getting some of those weapons back, and it has certainly helped. And the Ravens got to figure it out. But right now, it looks like that defense might not be as good as we thought. And remains to be seen if Derrick Henry is still what he was over the last couple of years. And then the Bengals are kind of – it's a waiting game until Burrow gets back, and that might be too late. Obviously, the Bills are great, but the Chiefs have had their number for a decade. And so now you find yourself in a position again where you look around the AFC, the Chiefs will be back in the Super Bowl. Brian, reasonable take or no?
I'd say very reasonable take. They've got the experience to go with it. If everybody's healthy, they are back. They want to redeem themselves after what the Eagles did to them. Basically just threw them down a flight of New York City subway steps with the metal tips on them. Yes, it was that bad.
And they very well may have beaten the Eagles if Travis Kelce doesn't fumble the ball at the goal line, and that leads to points the other way. Shane, Chiefs, Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree. I think this was the easiest one you've given so far just because of just how weak the AFC looks as a whole right now. I mean, the Ravens, their defense is injury riddled. Nnamdi Madubuike is out for the rest of the season. No Jair Alexander this past week. Marlon Humphrey looks like he's dealing with injuries. Kyle Hamilton looks like he's dealing with injuries. Kyle Van Noy is dealing with injuries. Like all of their stud, elite, top level guys on this defense are dealing with something, missing games. And we know Derrick Henry has obviously struggled. I think he's fumbled in 3 out of the past 4 games, which is not something we're used to seeing him do.
Times too.
Yeah, worst possible times. Not something we're used to seeing from him. Maybe it was the dreads. Maybe when he cut his hair like Samson, the power was in the dreads. Who knows? Maybe he had.
Why you gotta bring up hair, man? Why you gotta bring up hair? Why?
Just saying, maybe.
Why?
But then
I have strength. I don't need hair. I'm good.
I said for Derrick Henry B. Smith. I didn't say it works like that for everybody.
Just saying.
But then, looking at the Bengals, Joe Burrow out. Bills, their defense looks weak. It's an older defense at that as well. Josh Allen and James Cook make up the offense. You said what?
I'd be worried about the Bills if it was any other team but the Chiefs. I think the Bills are really good, but they just can't beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, they can't. They can't beat the Chiefs. What is Josh Allen 0-4 against Mahomes in the playoffs?
I don't know. He's never beat him.
I believe he's 0-4, and this might be the least talented team that he has had while during his sort of era in a part of Bills Mafia. So I think that's an easy call. Chiefs all the way. They get Xavier Worthy back. First game Xavier Worthy's back. They blow out the Ravens, and Rashee Rice is supposed to come back in another 2 or so weeks. So yeah, that's easy call.
All right, last one, and then B. Smith, I know you got to get out of here.
Yes.
I would like to apologize for this, okay? But you guys depend on me to come with the takes. So I got to do it sometimes. And I just want to say once again how sorry I am about what I'm about to say. But this is the take. The New York Jets are actually more disappointing than the New York Mets this year. I will make the case. I'm sorry. Sorry, Smith. I will make the case.
No. First of all, I'm leaving that. Mets got the highest payroll and didn't make the playoffs. They have Juan Soto and didn't make the playoffs. So, yeah, no, don't go there. I do have 2 college football takes real quick before we wrap up. 2 college football takes. University of Virginia will go bowling this year. They're currently ranked 24th. They're ranked for the first time since 2019. Looking at their schedule, they could have a problem with Louisville, who's 4-0. But I think the rest of the way, they can get 6 wins, and they're going to beat down Virginia Tech.
Oh, come on.
UVA looks nasty.
Look,
I'm sorry.
UVA, how good UVA is this year.
UVA
I'm so
looks
sorry.
nasty this year.
The other take is
so
the
I says Jets Mets, and he gets immediate payback. I deserve that. No, I deserve it. It's immediate karma. I deserve it.
The other take, ODU football, I feel will go bowling. They've got a good schedule to play. They played really well beating Liberty. I think both these schools are going to go bowling this year.
And that Liberty game could have easily been a blowout if it does not rain. If it does not rain, that game is a blowout easily.
Just my opinion. So, But yes, no, UVA football, I mean, that was huge beating Florida State. And it was the 30th anniversary of the big upset they had back then when they had Warwick Dunn. Mike Groh was their quarterback. You had Tiki Barber as your running back. It just – the humanity that spilled out on that field last Friday set it off. So, yeah, I think for a lot of UVA fans, huge relief. And Tony Elliott, what a turnaround, because there were a lot of question marks of whether or not he might even be back because of what the pressure was to turn things around. He's done that. They're 4-1 right now. They're playing Louisville on the road. They're playing well. Who knows?
Cam Ross, 5 touchdowns against Florida State University. Needed to take a little better care of the ball, 3 picks. But I mean, just in terms of production, he's putting points on the board.
Yes,
putting points on the board. 3 touchdowns on the ground, 2 through the air. They seems like they have weapons on offense this year. Jamari Taylor, Cam Ross, I believe Trell Harris has been cooking these past couple of weeks. It's looking good right now for the Cavs. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know how this happened. I thought we were going to spend 5 minutes making fun of the Jets and the Mets, and somehow this turned into love it on you today.
I got 2 picks.
You turned it on me. But, hey, you know what? I suppose that I brought that upon myself, and that is a wonderful place to end the 13 News Now Sports Overtime podcast. And I think the last words for this particular pod have to be, Shane, could you dress up next time, man? Could you at least try? Like, a collar, at least? I mean, what are we doing here?
I apologize, guys. Maybe next time if I can get some better communication from my teammates and friends.
Wow.
In terms of the attire for this week's
podcast. You knew I was going to be ready to go. You knew I was going to be ready. I had to be.
That's you know what, B. Smith? That's a good point. That's a good point. I'm not gonna lie. It's a good point. It's a good point. But maybe let's just
B. Smith is cracking skulls today. Goodness gracious. Let's get out of here before he just tears us even further.
I'm gonna put a polo on now. I'm gonna put a polo on now just to be comfortable. I'm gonna put a polo on now.
I'm bringing all the smoke today.
We feel it. Yeah, we feel it, B. Smith. You don't got to tell us twice. All right, let's get out of here.